Same Air Force, same tarmac, same Star of David painted on the tail. But look at these two jets carefully, and you will notice something that most people walk straight past. One of them has a thick raised spine running along the top of its fuselage, from just behind the cockpit all the way to the tail. The other is clean, smooth, no spine, no extra bulk. That single visual difference represents two completely different philosophies of air combat and two completely different roles inside the most battle-hardened air force on the planet. The Israeli Air Force operates two distinct versions of the F-16, the F-16D Barak and the F-16I Sufa. Both trace their origin to the same American fighter jet. Both carry the same national markings, but in terms of what they are designed to do, where they are designed to go, and how they are built to fight, they are not the same aircraft. Today on Grand Structures, we go inside both jets. We break down what each one is, what Israel changed, how they compare directly against each other, and why Benjamin Netanyahu's Air Force made the deliberate decision to operate both rather than standardizing on one. Let us start with the Barak, which in Hebrew means lightning. The F-16D Barak is Israel's heavily upgraded version of the American F-16D Block 40. The base aircraft that Israel started with is a two-seat F-16, one pilot in the front seat, one weapons systems officer in the rear. That second crew member is not there for company. They exist because certain missions are too complex, too information-dense for one person to manage alone. The rear seat officer handles sensors, targeting systems, and electronic warfare, freeing the pilot to focus entirely on flying the aircraft and making combat decisions. But Israel did not accept the standard American configuration and call it done. They removed large portions of the American avionics and replaced them with Israeli-developed systems, primarily from Elbit Systems, one of the world's most advanced defense electronics companies. This included an Israeli-built helmet-mounted display system, an indigenous electronic warfare suite, and upgraded weapons management computers. The aircraft was then subjected to a further modernization program called Barak 2, which added a wide-angle holographic heads-up display, improved radar operating modes, and enhanced capability against beyond visual range targets. The result is an aircraft that carries American bones and Israeli brains. It looks like an F-16 from the outside. Inside the cockpit and behind the panels, it is something different. A fighter rebuilt for the specific threats, the specific electronic environments, and the specific operational requirements that Israel encounters. The Barak is a true multi-mission aircraft, air-to-air combat against enemy fighters, tactical precision strikes against ground targets, suppression of enemy air defense systems, quick reaction intercepts against fast-emerging threats. The Barak is designed to be flexible, responsive, and cost-effective in the daily rhythm of operations that Israel conducts continuously over Gaza, over Lebanon, along the Syrian border, and across the contested airspace that Israeli jets navigate regularly. The Barak is not built for distance. It is not built to reach Tehran. It is built to be ready, to be fast, and to be precise in the immediate neighborhood.
Now the Sufa, storm in Hebrew, and the name is deliberate. The F-16I Sufa is a different aircraft in nearly every way that matters operationally. It shares the F-16's basic airframe and general layout, but the mission it was built for and the modifications Israel made to achieve that mission separated fundamentally from the Barak. Start with the most visible feature, that raised spine. Those are conformal fuel tanks. They sit flush against the fuselage, shaped to reduce drag, and they add approximately 450 gallons of additional fuel to the aircraft's total capacity. That fuel does one thing above all else. It extends the Sufa's combat radius. from roughly 550 miles to over 1,000 miles on a standard strike mission profile. 1,000 miles from Israeli territory puts the Sufa within reach of Iran. It puts every significant military installation in Syria, Iraq, and the wider Middle East within striking distance, from Israeli soil, without refueling, without depending on tanker support, and without needing permission from any other nation to use their airspace or their bases. For Benjamin Netanyahu's foundational security doctrine, the belief that Israel must be capable of unilateral military action against any existential threat, anywhere, at any time, that range is not a performance statistic, it is a strategic requirement. The Sufa exists because that doctrine demands an aircraft capable of delivering it. Beyond the fuel tanks, the Sufa carries a more comprehensive Israeli avionics package than even the upgraded Barak. It is equipped with the dash helmet-mounted display and cueing system, which allows the pilot to aim weapons simply by looking at a target, a capability that gives the Sufa an off-bore sight engagement advantage in close combat. It carries advanced sensor fusion systems that integrate radar, targeting pod, and electronic warfare data into a single, coherent picture for both crew members. And it is fully integrated with Israeli-developed standoff weapons, most notably the Popeye cruise missile, a precision weapon capable of destroying hardened underground facilities from distances that keep the launching aircraft outside most air defense coverage. The Sufa is a two-seat aircraft as well, on long-range deep strike missions lasting several hours, penetrating sophisticated air defenses, managing complex sensor inputs and threat responses. The cognitive load on a single pilot would be unmanageable. The rear seat officer on those missions is not a luxury. They are operationally essential. We are about to go head-to-head, direct comparison across every category that matters in real combat. Before we do, if you are not yet subscribed to Grand Structures, tap that button right now. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps the channel keep making content like this. Let's continue. Now let us compare them directly across the categories that matter in real combat. Range first, and this is where the gap is clearest. The Barak operates at a combat radius of approximately 550 miles on a typical mission. The Sufa with conformal tanks extends that to over 1,000 miles. That is not a marginal improvement, that is a mission transformation. The Sufa can reach targets the Barak cannot reach at all. Weapons payload. The Barak, on longer missions, must use under-wing hardpoints to carry external fuel tanks, which reduces the number of weapons it can carry simultaneously. The Sufa's conformal tanks eliminate that trade-off entirely. It arrives at the target with a full weapons load and full fuel. Sufa leads significantly. Close-range agility. This is where the Barak recovers ground. The conformal tanks add roughly 1,000 pounds to the Sufa and create a small aerodynamic penalty at extreme angles of attack. In a close-range turning dogfight, the kind measured in seconds and degrees, the Barak's lighter, cleaner airframe gives it a marginal but real energy advantage. Barak holds the edge here. Avionics and sensors. Both are genuinely capable, but the Sufa's package is more advanced and more deeply integrated, the product of a newer, larger development program. The Barak 2 upgrades have meaningfully closed the gap, but the Sufa still leads. Electronic warfare. Both carry Israeli EW suites that are widely regarded as among the best in the world. The Sufa system is specifically optimized for survivability in dense, sophisticated air defense environments, the kind found in Syria, Iran, and other high-threat theaters. For deep penetration missions against capable adversaries, Sufa. Operational flexibility and cost. The Barak is cheaper to operate per flight hour, faster to turn around, and purpose-built for the high operational tempo of Israel's daily combat activities. For frequency, variety, and responsiveness, Barak. Given everything we have just covered, a reasonable question presents itself. If the Sufa is more capable in most categories, why does Israel continue to operate the Barak at all? The answer is that Israel does not fight one type of war. It fights several simultaneously, at completely different ranges, with completely different threat levels, requiring completely different tools. The conflicts on Israel's immediate borders, Gaza, southern Lebanon, the Syrian frontier, demand aircraft that can be scrambled within minutes, strike with precision, and return quickly to be rearmed and ready again. These missions are frequent, often daily, and require a large, affordable, highly responsive force. The Barak is exactly the right aircraft for exactly this purpose. The strategic threats, Iran's nuclear program, deep Syrian military installations, long-range targets that represent existential rather than tactical danger, demand something the Barak cannot provide. They demand range. They demand standoff weapons. They demand the survivability to penetrate sophisticated air defenses. That is the Sufa. A fleet of only Sufas would give Israel extraordinary long-range reach, but at enormous cost and with insufficient numbers for the daily operational tempo. A fleet of only Baraks would leave Israel with no credible unilateral deep strike capability. The gap between those two failure modes is exactly the space that operating both aircraft fills.
The structure of Israel's F-16 fleet is not an accident of procurement history. It is the direct physical expression of a security doctrine that Netanyahu has championed for decades. The doctrine is simple in principle and demanding in practice. Israel cannot and will not depend on any external power for its survival. Not the United States, not NATO, not any international body. If Israel identifies an existential threat, Israel must be capable of acting against it, alone, decisively, and at any range required. That doctrine was tested in September 2007. Operation Orchard. Israeli F-16I Sufas flew over 700 miles into Syrian territory, located and destroyed a covert nuclear reactor being built with North Korean technical assistance, and returned to base without a single aircraft lost. Syria did not publicly acknowledge the strike had occurred for months afterward. That mission was the Sufa doing precisely what Netanyahu's doctrine demands, and none of it would have been possible without the range the conformal tanks provide, the survivability the Israeli EW suite ensures, and the precision the standoff weapons deliver. The Barak handles the borders. The Sufa handles the threats beyond the horizon. Together, they answer the question that every Air Force must face. What do you need your jets to do? Israel's answer is everything, at every range, against every threat, with no margin for failure. And they built their fleet to match. The F-16D Barak and the F-16I Sufa share an origin, a flag, and a runway, but they are two completely different answers to two completely different problems, built by a nation that has never had the luxury of getting either answer wrong. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of how Israel thinks about air power, subscribe to Grand Structures right now. Every week we go this deep into the machines and the strategies that define our world. Hit that subscribe button, share this video, and I will see you in the next one. Last week, we did the full breakdown of the F-16I Sufa against the original American F-16 Fighting Falcon, including the complete Operation Orchard story and the Netanyahu and Trump geopolitical angle. That video is right here. Watch it next. Grand Structures. See you there.